How many times have you felt like your life needs a change, a complete transformation, but you keep waiting for the perfect moment to make it happen? It's like you're watching the movie of your life from the sidelines, seeing the scenes go by while you wait for that big twist that never seems to come. Do you really want to keep being a spectator in your own story while the ending gets closer and closer? In this video, I'm going to share the 11 principles that transformed my life in just one day. And they can do the same for you. This isn't magic or some cheap clickbait. It's all about Stoicism. I'll reveal powerful, simple truths that can completely change the way you see the world. These principles, inspired by Stoic philosophy, are practical tools that can transform you from the inside out. Sound too good to be true? Give me a chance, and I'll prove it. Are you ready to step into a new chapter of your life? One where you finally unlock all the potential you've been holding back? 1. Trade complaints for results. Have you ever seen a wheel stuck in the mud? No matter how much it spins, it doesn't move forward. It just throws more dirt around. Well, my friend, complaints work the same way. They spin in your mind, drain your energy, and get you nowhere. Meanwhile, life is slipping away while you stay stuck. Let's be real. Complaining doesn't solve anything. Instead of staying trapped in that cycle of negativity, take control. Sure, it's uncomfortable at first. And yes, it's hard work. But if you keep doing the same thing, how can you expect different results? Change starts with you, right here and right now. Epictetus once said, "Do not seek for things to happen the way you want them to. Rather, wish for them to happen as they do, and you will be fine." Do you see it? This isn't about giving up, it's about using what you have to move forward. When you stop complaining and accept reality, you free up energy that you were wasting on negativity. That energy is exactly what you need to take action. And it's not just Stoics who say this. A Stanford University study found that frequent complaining not only reinforces negative patterns in your brain, but also increases stress levels. Every time you complain, your brain solidifies that habit a little more. The solution? Replace each complaint with an action, no matter how small. Here's the kicker. Your brain learns that habit too. Ever heard of Sergio Turul, better known as Pitufalo? This runner and content creator took on an almost impossible challenge, running 900 miles in 19 days during the summer heat. His one rule? No complaints. Every step he took was action, not excuses. Can you imagine the level of discipline that requires? But that's the secret. Eliminating complaints opens the door to extraordinary results. Not only did he achieve his goal, but he also inspired thousands of people. Because yes, complaints are contagious, but so is action. Now let's talk about you. Yes, you. How many times a day do you complain without even realizing it? About traffic, work, not having enough time. The list goes on. And what do you gain from it? Absolutely nothing. Here's some advice that works, though you might not like it at first. Change starts small, not with grand revolutions. Do you constantly complain about not having time to work out? Let's see if that's true. How many minutes do you spend scrolling on your phone when you wake up? Maybe 15 or 20. Cut 10 of those minutes and use them for yourself. Stretch, take a short walk, or do a few squats. You don't need a gym to start, just a decision. Does the mess at home drive you crazy? Instead of getting frustrated every time you see the chaos, commit to organizing one small area a day. Don't try to clean everything at once. Start with something simple, like that drawer full of things you never use. Throw away what's broken, donate what you don't need, and you'll soon notice how external order starts to clear your mind. And if your complaint is that work consumes you and you have no time for yourself, pause for a moment. What's the first thing you do when you get home? Do you collapse on the couch to watch something you're not even interested in? Swap that habit for something that feeds your soul. Read a book that truly inspires you, or have coffee with a friend. Here's a simple challenge for you. For 1 week, every time you catch yourself complaining, write it down. But here's the key. Next to it, write an action you can take, no matter how small. For example, if you jot down, "I'm so tired all the time," add, "Tonight I'll go to bed 30 minutes earlier." If you write, "I'm always running late," add, I'll prepare my clothes and breakfast the night before. These actions don't just solve problems. They build habits that, over time, transform your mindset. Do you know what's going to surprise you the most? You won't even need a full week to start noticing the change. This principle could be the turning point your life needs. Because in just one day, you can stop being the person who complains and become someone who acts, someone who moves forward. 2. Live with less, gain more. Have you ever felt like your life is so packed that you can barely breathe? I'm not just talking about stuff, but also the noise, the commitments, and the endless thoughts that weigh you down. Picture this. You come home after a long day. You drop your keys on the table, hang up your coat, and you're greeted by piles of stuff. Papers, unopened emails, a to-do list that never seems to end. It's overwhelming, isn't it? It feels like every little thing around you is sand piling up in the room, slowly filling the space. At first, it's just a thin layer under your feet. But before long, you're stuck knee-deep, unable to move. Every object, every unnecessary commitment is another handful of sand burying you, leaving no room to breathe or think clearly. That feeling of being overloaded? It's a real barrier to your well-being. Here's the key. Living with less doesn't mean giving up what's important. It means making space for what truly matters. The Stoics understood this centuries ago. To them, accumulating things was a distraction from what's real. Imagine if Marcus Aurelius lived today. His day would start with endless meetings, documents to sign, and all the pressures of leading an empire. Then he'd come home to a house cluttered with pointless stuff, thousands of unread emails, and social commitments that add no value. How do you think he'd feel? Overwhelmed, just like you and me. So, as a true Stoic, what would he do? He'd focus on what really matters. He'd let go of anything that doesn't contribute to his purpose, his serenity, or his inner peace. That's exactly what I'm inviting you to do today. A lot of people think living with less means giving everything up, but it's not about loss, it's about gain. When you remove what's unnecessary, you reclaim your time, your energy, and your mental clarity. And trust me, I know this firsthand. Inspired by the Japanese writer Fumio Sasaki, a minimalist icon, I decided to simplify my life after reading about the clarity and peace he gained. I started with the basics, getting rid of everything I didn't use or need. The result? I felt lighter, clearer, like I'd made space in my mind as well as my home. As Sasaki says, when you have less, you value more. And you might be thinking, what's there to value if you don't have much? Time, calm, and focus on what truly matters, my friend. So how can you start living with less? Begin with something physical. Look at that closet stuffed with clothes you never wear. Don't overthink it. Just start. Throw out what you don't need or donate what no longer serves you. Do it today, because in one single day, that small action can free you from a burden you didn't even realize you were carrying. You'll see how clearing physical space clears your mind, giving you a sense of control and clarity. Next, tackle a commitment. We all have that automatic yes, that desire to please others. But ask yourself, what have you agreed to that isn't helping you move forward? Maybe it's a meeting that could have been an email, or a social activity that's draining your time. Today, cut one thing from your schedule that doesn't add value to your life. And lastly, what about your thoughts? How many times a day do you find yourself worrying about things you can't control or stressing about the future? Here's my challenge. Take 5 minutes today to meditate or simply breathe deeply. Just 5 minutes. It'll be your anchor, your moment of calm amidst the chaos. At the end of the day, it's all about this. You're not what you accumulate. You're what you choose to keep. Every single thing you let go of is a step toward a lighter, freer, and more focused life. So, are you ready to take that step today? Because trust me, living with less doesn't take anything away from you. On the contrary, it gives you everything back. Before we continue, if you're finding value in this content, consider subscribing and becoming an exclusive member to unlock unique perks. And let us know in the comments, what small change are you going to make today to start transforming your life? We want to grow together with you. 3. Gratitude as a habit. Let me tell you a story about Juan. A few months ago, Juan felt like his life was falling apart. Problems at work, arguments at home with his kids, and a constant sense of dissatisfaction. One day, a friend suggested something simple yet strange. Write down 3 things he was grateful for every morning. At first, Juan didn't bother, but his friend kept insisting, so he gave it a try, half-heartedly, almost skeptically. Grateful for what, he thought. But he tried. That first day he wrote, "I'm grateful for my health." Nothing extraordinary, right? But something shifted. From that day on, his mind started focusing on what he had, rather than what he was missing. And do you know what happened next? No, Juan didn't win the lottery or get a magical promotion, but he started seeing things differently. That same day, he noticed how lucky he was to have a pleasant conversation with a coworker or to watch the sunset as he left the office. Gratitude didn't fix all his problems, but it gave him something far more valuable: perspective. What happened to Juan isn't unusual. There's science to back it up. A study from the University of California showed that practicing active gratitude increases happiness and reduces stress. And it doesn't take anything grand or much time. Just a few minutes a day are enough. From the very first day, your brain begins creating a new pattern, focusing on what you have instead of what you lack. And let me repeat, this isn't about big achievements. The key lies in the small, everyday things we often overlook. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." This isn't about ignoring problems, but recognizing that even on the hardest days, there's something to be grateful for. The Stoics knew that gratitude isn't just an emotion. It's a habit you train day by day. And believe me, it changes the way you see the world. Now, I know what you're thinking. My life is chaos. I barely have time to breathe, let alone make gratitude lists. Listen, I'm not asking you to spend an hour meditating on your blessings. I'm asking for 5 minutes, just 5 minutes, and it can make a difference starting today. How do you start? It's simple. Each morning, as soon as you wake up, say out loud one thing you're grateful for. Something small, something real. The warm coffee, the bed you slept in, the chance to start a new day. Yes, it might feel silly, but it works. Then, at the end of the day, take a minute to reflect on what you enjoyed most that day. Write down 2 things you're grateful for. Maybe it was the meal you had for dinner or a 5-minute chat with your mom. Read it back to yourself, and if you can, really feel it, because it's in those little things where transformation begins. It might not seem like much, but I promise you, this practice changes everything. From the very first day, your mind starts to focus on the positive instead of getting stuck in the negative. Gratitude doesn't erase your problems, but it gives you the strength and perspective to face them differently. And yes, that change can start today. My friend, life is full of things we take for granted. But when you learn to notice what you already have, what's already working, you begin to win. You free yourself from that constant feeling of lack. So here's what I want you to do. Think of one thing you're grateful for today and share it in the comments. Because trust me, when gratitude becomes a habit, everything starts to change. And that change can begin right now. 4. Optimize your energy. You've been there. The day starts with an endless to-do list. Work, house chores, taking care of your family, it's all on your plate. But you're tired, distracted, and even after hours in front of the screen, all you manage to cross off is one tiny task. Then, at 10 at night, just when you're supposed to wind down, you suddenly feel full of energy and your best ideas start flowing. Sound familiar? This isn't about willpower, it's about energy. Let's be clear, you're not a machine that can perform at the same level all day long. If you push yourself to work harder when your energy is low, it won't work. It's like trying to push open a door that swings the other way. No matter how hard you try, it won't budge. The key to transforming your life in a single day is identifying and making the most of your energy peaks. Why waste your best hours on unimportant tasks when you could use them to focus on what truly matters? Trust me, when you start working with your energy instead of against it, it's like rowing with the current. You start to move effortlessly. Society seems to demand that we all work the same hours, 9 to 5. But what if that schedule doesn't help you optimize your time and energy? Andrew Huberman, a neuroscientist at Stanford University, explains that our performance is directly tied to our circadian rhythms. Here's the interesting part. Not everyone's rhythms are the same. Some people hit their peak energy early in the morning, right as the sun rises. They wake up refreshed, with a clear mind, ready to take on the world. Others, on the other hand, are night owls. They struggle to get going in the morning, but when the evening rolls around, they hit their stride, bursting with creativity and focus. So, do you know which type of person you are? That's the first thing you need to figure out. If you're a morning person, your early hours are sacred. Use that time for tasks that require focus, creativity, or problem solving. If you're more of a night owl, respect your rhythm and save your best projects for the evening, when your energy is at its peak. Once you know when your energy is at its highest, prioritize your tasks. Reserve that time for your most important work. Don't waste it on emails or scrolling through social media. For instance, if mornings are your prime time, dedicate those hours to your most demanding projects, writing, creating, or planning. Leave lighter tasks like organizing files or replying to messages for the hours when your energy dips. Here's a piece of advice that might surprise you. Rest. Yes, taking breaks is essential to optimizing your energy. If you try to force yourself to be productive when you're drained, what will you achieve? Frustration and wasted time. Instead, take a moment to recharge. Stand up, breathe, go for a 5-minute walk. That small break will refuel you and help you make the most of your next working hour. And remember what Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do every act as if it were the last act of your life." What does this teach us? Focus completely on what you're doing, but do it at the right time. It's not about doing more, it's about doing better. Imagine what you could achieve if, starting today, you organized your tasks around your energy levels instead of following an arbitrary schedule. How would your life transform? The difference is huge. When you align your work with your best self, everything flows. So stop forcing yourself to push that door at the wrong time. Learn to move with your energy, and you'll see how, in just one day, you start gaining time and seeing results. 5. Take charge of your life. There's an old story about a man who fell into a deep pit while walking along a path. Realizing his situation, he started shouting as loudly as he could, hoping someone would come to rescue him. First, he cursed the pit for being there. "Who leaves a hole like this in the middle of the road?" he complained. Then he blamed the sun, saying it didn't shine bright enough to help him see where he was going. Finally, he got angry at his shoes. "They're worn out, that's why I slipped." Time passed and no one came. Each minute he spent waiting sank him deeper into despair. Eventually, the man came to an uncomfortable truth. No one was coming to get him out. If he wanted to climb out, he'd have to stop blaming everything around him and start pulling himself up. Sound familiar? Maybe you haven't fallen into a literal pit, but every time you blame others for what's happening in your life, it's like staying stuck in that hole. Feeling trapped at work? "It's my boss's fault. Your relationships aren't going well? It's the other person, they just don't get me." And so, bit by bit, you hand over control of your life to everything and everyone else. But let me tell you this, that kind of story has no hero. It's just someone waiting. Let me be blunt, even if it's hard to hear. Your circumstances are the result of your decisions. But don't panic, it's not the end of the world. If you accept responsibility for where you are, you also gain the power to change everything. If you truly want to transform your life, you have to start owning this today. Epictetus summed it up with a powerful truth. Circumstances don't make the man, they only reveal him. Think about that for a second. Tough situations don't define you. They reveal who you are and how you choose to face them. Blaming others or external factors keeps you stuck, but taking responsibility sets you free. Because when you take control, you get to decide who you want to be and how you want to live. So, how do you start taking charge of your life in just one day? First, stop looking for someone to blame. Starting today, when you face a problem, don't ask, "Whose fault is this?" Instead, ask, "What can I do to change this?" That small shift in mindset changes everything. Second, take one action that's completely yours. If you're unhappy with your finances, make a list of unnecessary expenses and cut one of them today. If you feel disconnected from someone important, stop waiting for them to reach out. Be the one to make the call. The key is to act, not wait. Third, ask yourself what part of your life isn't aligned with your values, and make a decision about it. It doesn't have to be a huge change. For instance, if you value your health but haven't been taking care of yourself, start today. Take a 20-minute walk or choose a healthier meal. It's simple, but it's transformative. Here's the difference between those who move forward and those who stay stuck. The ones who move forward stop waiting for someone to pull them out of the pit. They choose to act, they take charge. So now I ask you, are you going to keep making excuses, or are you going to start choosing your life? You don't have to fix everything in one day, but you can start today. And that first step, no matter how small, changes everything. Think better, act better, and start climbing out of the pit today. 6. Make things happen. How many times have you said, "I'll do it tomorrow"? Or, "I'll bring it up when the time is right"? And there it stays, swirling in your mind. That uncomfortable conversation, that decision you keep putting off. Life is full of little things that never get done because we believe we're waiting for the perfect moment. But let me tell you something. That moment doesn't exist. Picture this. You've been meaning to talk to your partner for weeks because you feel something's not right. Every day, you promise yourself, "I'll bring it up tonight." But when the moment comes, you think, "I don't want to ruin dinner." Today's not the day. Spoiler alert, that day never comes. And I know because I've been there too. Entrepreneur and content creator Alex Hormozi, someone who built his success from scratch, puts it bluntly, "Someday is not a date on the calendar. If you don't do it today, you'll never do it." Why? Because there will always be an excuse, always a reason to postpone. But while you're waiting, others are taking action. While you hesitate, others move forward. The day you remove "someday" from your vocabulary and take action, no matter how small, your life begins to change. Yes, it starts right then and there. I'm telling you this because I've lived it myself. I watched that video from Alex Hormozi and decided to apply it to my life. That same day, I eliminated "someday" from my vocabulary and made a decision I'd been avoiding for months. I won't lie, it scared me. But that small step was the beginning of a massive transformation. And that's why I'm here telling you. Do it now, not later. And do you know why? Because life doesn't wait. As Marcus Aurelius once said, "Do not act as if you were going to live 10,000 years. Death is on your heels. While you live, while it is in your power, be good." In other words, stop waiting. Action is the only thing that moves you closer to what you want, whether it's a change in your life, a better relationship, or the peace of mind you've been searching for. Every day you spend waiting is one less day to act. Now, my friend, I know what you're thinking, but it's not that easy. And I don't blame you. I used to think the same. The hard part isn't knowing what you need to do. The hard part is taking that first step. Because the first step is always scary. That uncomfortable conversation terrifies you because you don't know how it will go. That overdue workout feels daunting because you know it'll be tough. But here's the secret. If you wait until you're not afraid, you'll never do it. Are you ready to start making things happen today? First, pick one thing you've been putting off. Don't tell me there isn't one. That call you've been avoiding, that apology you know you need to make, or that small change you've been dodging. Write it down right now. Second, eliminate the word "someday" from your vocabulary. It doesn't exist, it's not on the calendar, and it never comes. The next time you catch yourself saying, "I'll do it someday," stop. Replace it with today or right now. Because if you start today, even with the smallest step, you'll break the cycle of waiting. And that can transform your life in a single day. I'm not exaggerating. Action has immediate power. Here's a hard truth we don't like to think about. Not making a decision is still a decision. It's choosing to stay the same. But let me ask you this. Is that what you want? Do you want to stay stuck in the same situation, running in the same circle? The difference between people who achieve something and those who don't isn't in their ideas or resources. It's that some act and others wait. So, what are you going to do? Wait or make it happen? The choice is yours and it starts now. 7. Make challenges your allies. Imagine this. You're sitting alone in an empty classroom. Suddenly, the door creaks open, and in walks a woman with a stern expression. She doesn't say a word. She sits across from you, her gaze fixed on you, and under her arm is an enormous book. Slowly, she starts pointing out everything you don't want to face. Your mistakes, your fears, your failures. It's uncomfortable. It makes you angry. You look at her with suspicion and think, why is she here? What does she want from me? That woman is your challenge, the difficulty that has shown up in your life. But listen closely. She's not here to destroy you. She's here to teach you. Challenges are like teachers in disguise. They don't bring flowers or smiles, they bring tests and trials. And while they may make you uncomfortable at first, they're the ones that teach you the most in the end. Tell me if this sounds familiar. A problem blindsides you, and you feel like you can't handle it. Maybe you lost your job, a relationship ended, or something didn't go as planned. Your first reaction is to resist, to fight against what's happening, as if complaining or denying reality could change it. But it doesn't. It only drains you. What if, instead of fighting your challenge, you chose to use it to make yourself stronger? Seneca faced every difficulty head-on and learned from them. Do you think he ran away from every challenge life threw at him? Of course not. As he said, "A man should not fear adversity, for it is through adversity that he discovers what he is capable of." Think about it. If everything were easy, you'd never grow. Challenges are there to show you who you really are and, more importantly, who you can become. Every challenge you face gives you the chance to build discipline, patience, and character. That's what transforms you. Now let me give you a challenge. Think of something that makes you uncomfortable, something you've been avoiding. Don't look for big tragedies. It could be as simple as resolving an argument with someone close or tackling a financial problem. Got it? Good. Now, figure out what lesson it's trying to teach you. Before you act, take a moment and ask yourself, what can I learn from this challenge? If it's an argument, maybe the lesson is that you need to improve your communication, listen better, or stop taking everything so personally. Next, take a courageous step. You don't have to solve everything all at once. Just do something small but decisive. If it's a financial issue, open your bank account right now and review your recent expenses. Spot one unnecessary subscription or impulsive purchase and cancel it today. It's a small action, but it shows you that you're in control. Finally, acknowledge your progress. After facing a challenge, pause and think, what did I gain from this? Maybe you didn't fix everything in an instant, but you took action. You learned something new about yourself, and most importantly, you stopped running away. That small step has already made you stronger. Do you know why this can transform your life in a single day? Because when you face something you've been avoiding, you break a mental pattern. You stop being someone who runs from problems and become someone who faces them. Today, it might be a conversation. Tomorrow, it'll be a bigger decision. But each time you train yourself to be better. The biggest mistake most people make is seeing challenges as the end of the road. But you're not like most people, my friend. I'm telling you this because this principle has been crucial in my own transformation. And here's what I've learned from experience. You can't stop problems from showing up, but you can choose how to face them. When you make challenges your allies, you start seeing the world differently. Every obstacle stops being an enemy and becomes a tool for growth. And that mindset, that shift, is what can transform your life. Yes, even in a single day. 8. Cultivate daily reflection. My friend, I'm going to share something deeply personal with you, something I've never admitted before. There was a time in my life when I couldn't stand myself. Truly, I didn't like how I acted, how I looked, or how I spoke to myself. Everything I did seemed wrong, and instead of trying to understand it, I just punished myself. The guilt and frustration piled up, and I kept moving forward on autopilot, never stopping to figure out why I felt that way. Then one day, I decided to try something different. I started reflecting every night. It wasn't a big thing, just 5 minutes at the end of each day to write down what I'd done well, what I'd done poorly, and what I could change tomorrow. At first, I felt ridiculous, like I was talking to someone who didn't want to listen. But little by little, I began to understand myself. I started noticing patterns. I realized that not everything I did was wrong, that some things were worth celebrating. Reflecting helped me improve my relationship with myself, and, most importantly, make more conscious decisions. Let's be clear. Daily reflection isn't about writing an essay or spending hours staring at the ceiling like they make it look on social media. It's about taking a few minutes to look at yourself, no filters, no excuses, and asking, what did I do well today? What did I get wrong? What can I do differently tomorrow? This isn't just some trendy concept. Marcus Aurelius would sit down every night to write what we now know as meditations. He didn't write to impress anyone or to get likes. He did it for himself. It was his way of reflecting on what he'd done and how he could improve, like tidying up his house before bed. And that's exactly what reflection does. It organizes your thoughts, clears your mind, and prepares you to start a new day. And you know who else has always practiced this? The Japanese, with their concept of chowa, meaning balance and harmony. Akemi Tanaka, an author who writes about chowa, explains that daily reflection helps you understand how your actions and emotions fit into your life, like adjusting the pieces of a puzzle. It's simple. If you don't stop to think, how can you expect to change anything? Daily reflection is that moment where you take control and align what you do with what you truly want. But don't treat this like a boring chore. This is your moment for yourself, your chance to pause and adjust your course. And trust me, it works. Would I lie to you as a friend? Here's what I suggest. Starting today, take 5 minutes at the end of the day. Just 5. Grab a notebook, a piece of paper, or the Notes app on your phone. First, write down what you did well. Yes, what you did well. Maybe you had an important conversation or completed a small goal. Write it down, recognize it. Then write down what didn't go as planned. Not everything will be perfect, and that's okay. But don't beat yourself up. Instead, ask yourself, why did it turn out this way? What can I do differently tomorrow? The goal isn't to blame yourself, it's to find opportunities to grow. Why can this change your life in just one day? Because reflection is where you make peace with yourself and adjust your path to move forward a little better every day. When you understand yourself, you make better decisions. And when you make better decisions, your life improves. It's logical, isn't it? 9. Find a mentor. Have you ever felt lost? Like you're walking in the dark without knowing if you're headed in the right direction? Maybe you're trying to move forward in your career, improve some aspect of your life, or build something meaningful, but you don't know where to start or who to turn to. Here's the key question. Why struggle alone when others have already walked the same path? Let me tell you a story about Warren Buffett, one of the most successful investors in the world. Long before he became the Oracle of Omaha, Buffett was exactly where you might be now, eager to move forward, but lacking clarity. That's when Benjamin Graham stepped in, his mentor and the man who taught him the foundations of intelligent investing. Graham didn't just give him knowledge, he changed the way Buffett saw the world. He taught him not to let emotions dictate decisions, to focus on sound principles, and to always think long-term. The result? What Buffett learned from his mentor completely transformed his life. And here's the crucial point. If Buffett hadn't sought someone to guide him, he might not be the man we know today. Because yes, finding a mentor can change everything. Do you think Marcus Aurelius became the wise emperor we admire without someone to guide him? Of course not. His mentor was Junius Rusticus, the man who taught him the importance of discipline, introspection, and self-control. As Marcus Aurelius acknowledged in Meditations, it was Rusticus who helped him resist the pull of ego and embrace philosophy as a guide for life. A good mentor doesn't tell you what you want to hear. They tell you what you need to know. They open your eyes and teach you to see what you can't on your own. Now you might be wondering, how do I find a mentor? Don't worry, you don't need to chase someone famous or schedule an impossible meeting. Start here. First, identify the area where you need help. You can't improve everything at once. Is it your career, personal development, health? Be honest with yourself and decide what part of your life you want to transform. Second, look for someone who's already where you want to be. They don't have to be someone you know personally. It could be an author you admire, an expert you follow online, or even someone in your circle who's achieved what you're aiming for. Learn from their actions, their mistakes, and the way they think. But remember this, you need to be a good learner. If you can, ask questions, and most importantly, put their lessons into practice. A mentor is useless if you ignore their guidance. It's not about expecting them to fix your life. It's about using their teachings as a map to move forward more efficiently. I'm telling you this from experience. Finding someone to guide you doesn't just accelerate your growth, it saves you years of mistakes and unnecessary detours. A good mentor is like a flashlight in the dark. They don't carry you to the destination, but they light the way so you can get there yourself. The journey will always be yours. Yes, you can reach your goals on your own, but it will take longer, with more stumbles and wasted time. With a mentor, you move faster, with greater clarity and fewer doubts. A mentor doesn't walk the path for you, but they show you where to step. Can you think of anything more transformative than that? 10. Build goals that matter. Do you know what's sad about the goals most people set? They aren't truly theirs. They're copied from someone else. They want to earn more money because that's what you're supposed to do. Have the perfect body because that's how I'll be happy. Or buy things they don't even need just to feel validated. But here's an uncomfortable truth. Those hollow goals won't fulfill you, let alone transform you. It's like building a house. Imagine decorating it on the outside. Perfect paint, flowers in the garden, bright lights on the facade. Beautiful, right? But what happens if the foundation isn't solid? The first storm will knock it all down. The same thing happens with your goals when you chase external successes without a real foundation. A house without a strong base doesn't last, and goals without purpose don't transform. That's why your goals need to matter to you. They should help build who you are on the inside. A Stoic would see it this way. Goals aren't about showing the world something. They're about building something within yourself. Virtues like temperance, doing what needs to be done even when it's hard, and justice, acting with balance and purpose, are far more valuable than any external success. As Seneca said, if you don't know to which port you're sailing, no wind will be favorable. Think about this. How do you want to step into the new year? Still on autopilot, without clarity or purpose? Or would you rather arrive knowing exactly what you're building and why? Because the person who acts with purpose doesn't just achieve goals, they transform themselves in the process. If you're tired of wasting time on meaningless goals, it's time to get smart, literally and figuratively. This simple yet powerful technique is your ticket to setting goals that are not just clever, but truly transformative. Let's break it down and make your ambitions sharper, clearer, and smarter. Each letter stands for something you'll remember and can use every time you want to transform your life. Let's start with S for specific. Vague goals won't cut it. Don't say, I want to get in shape. What does that even mean? Running a marathon or just climbing the stairs without gasping for air? Be clear and concrete. For example, I will train 3 days a week for 30 minutes. A specific goal tells you what you want to do and how you'll achieve it. Without a clear target, you're just shooting arrows in the dark. Next is M for measurable. How do you know you're making progress if you can't measure it? If you want to improve your finances, don't say, "I'll save more money." Instead, decide, "I'll save €100 a month by cutting 2 unnecessary expenses." Tracking progress keeps you motivated, because if you can't measure it, it doesn't exist. And if it doesn't exist, it won't change. Then comes A for achievable. Let's be realistic here. If you haven't read a book in years, don't set a goal to read 20 in a month. That'll only leave you frustrated. Start small and achievable. I'll read 10 pages every night before bed. Perfection paralyzes. Progress, no matter how small, moves you forward. The R stands for relevant. This is where the Stoics teach us to focus on what truly matters. Ask yourself, why do I want this? Don't set goals just to impress others. Set goals that build something meaningful within you. For example, don't train just to look good. Train because you want to be disciplined, strong, and healthy. When a goal aligns with your values, you'll find the strength to keep going, even when excuses creep in. Finally, T for time-bound. Give your goal a deadline. If you don't, you'll never start. Don't say, "I'll do it someday." Say, "I'll start tomorrow," or "This month I'll save €100. Deadlines create urgency, and urgency gets you moving. When I started applying this in my life, I realized that it's not about ticking things off a list. It's about becoming more disciplined, more intentional, and stronger. And that is what transforms your life. So don't wait any longer. Grab a pen and paper. Write down one goal that truly matters to you, and most importantly, take that first step. Share in the comments what goal you're setting. We want to be part of this new version of you. And now, do you want to know the key to genuine transformation? Stay with me a little longer, I'll tell you. 11. Leave your mark on others. My friend, take a moment to reflect. What will remain of you when you're no longer here? I'm not talking about material possessions or titles on a business card. I mean the mark you leave on people. How have your actions benefited others? What impact are you having on the lives of those around you? Society is like a vast tapestry, and each of us is a thread. If a thread breaks or doesn't fulfill its role, the fabric weakens. Or, as Marcus Aurelius put it, what does not benefit the hive does not benefit the bee. And here's the beautiful part. It works the other way around too. When you focus on leaving a positive mark on others, you don't just help the world, you help yourself. You become stronger, wiser, and more connected to what truly matters. Why does striving to leave a mark on others help you too? Because when you start living with the common good in mind, something inside you shifts. That sense of emptiness fades. You feel useful, connected, and at peace with yourself. Helping others doesn't just leave a mark on them, it changes something within you as well. Let me share a real story to show you what I mean. A young economist once noticed a simple yet devastating problem. Millions of people couldn't move forward because no one would lend them money. Just small amounts, enough to start a business or survive a rough patch. That man, Muhammad Yunus, didn't just complain about the system. He created a new one. He started lending money to poor women in Bangladesh. At first, people thought the idea was ridiculous. How would they ever pay it back? But Yunus believed in one thing: the strength of community and the will to improve. He was right. What started as a few small loans ended up changing millions of lives. Here's the takeaway. Yunus didn't just help others. He transformed himself in the process. He found a purpose that gave his life meaning. Because when you live for something bigger than yourself, when you decide to leave a mark on others, you grow too. So how do you start? You don't need to change the world or win a Nobel Prize. It begins with what you do today, right here, right now. For instance, think about your talents and share them. We all have something to offer. Knowledge, time, skills. Can you cook? Teach someone a recipe. Are you a good listener? Give your time to a friend. Are you passionate about something? Inspire others to start. Leaving a mark doesn't require money or grand gestures, just intention. And here's another idea. Do something for someone without expecting anything in return. It can be as simple as listening to someone who needs it, helping a colleague catch up, or offering genuine advice. Small acts of generosity can create a much bigger difference than you realize. Remember this, the world doesn't need perfect heroes. It needs people who do what they can, where they are, with what they have. One small action on your part can be the ray of light someone else desperately needs. So tell me, what can you do today to leave your mark? Don't wait until tomorrow, because even the smallest sincere action doesn't just change someone else's life, it changes yours too. I invite you to embrace the power of these principles in your life. Let every action you take, no matter how small, be an opportunity to move closer to the best version of yourself. Remember this, transforming your life doesn't take years. It takes conscious and courageous decisions made day by day. True change begins the moment you decide to act, and that moment can be today. If you've made it this far, write in the comments, "Today, I start transforming my life." That way, I'll know who the true Stoic warriors are who made it to the end. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and give this video a like so you don't miss out on what's coming next. I also invite you to check out our playlist, which you'll see on the screen. It's packed with ideas, stories, and advice to help you navigate life with more wisdom and confidence. Click it, and let's keep moving forward together. Until next time, take care and keep embracing your inner Stoic.